There you go.
All right. So thanks
Cool.
everybody for coming to there we go, April 2023 Greater Philadelphia Mac Admins virtual meetup. This session will be recorded, but we will turn it off at the end for the open discussion. So our agenda for today, discuss the latest release of macOS Ventura, Monterey, some items of interest, conferences, and of course, as discussed, the open discussion. What is new? Let's start with macOS Ventura. So 13.3 and 13.3.1 were released. And we're going to start with the most important thing, 21 new emojis. I'm sure all of us in the enterprise are very happy with this. I know our users were. I am very happy, though, that there is a jellyfish. A few weeks later, 13.3.1 was released, and it did patch 2 actively exploited vulnerabilities. So 2 0 days. So if you're not pushing 13.3.1, you should be pushing that. Apparently some more software update bugs were fixed. I don't know about anybody here, but I had a pretty easy time upgrading for 13.2.1 to 13.3.1 for all of my user base. So good job, Apple, finally fixing the software update bugs, or at least most of them. Not tested MDM deployments yet. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. Fixie is an Apple Watch unlock issue. I was not aware of this, but apparently there was an issue with Apple Watch unlock. I'm not allowed to use that in my organization.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. We saw it back here a couple of times. So
Interesting. What, it just didn't work?
it just didn't work.
That's weird. Well, it fixed it. So there you go. Here's a link to the release notes and the enterprise release notes for anybody that gets a copy of this deck. Now, macOS Monterey 12.6.4, 12.6.5. So 12.6.4 fixed a T2 MDM lock bypass. This was kind of a big deal, but I'm glad they fixed it. Bunch of security fixes, of course, in 12.6.5, including 1.0 day was patched in this. So again, if you're not running 12.6.5, you should patch your fleet. And as usual, release notes and enterprise release notes, same as Ventura. Breezing through here, but we got a lot of items of interest, so this will be a good time. So Monkey 6.3.0 was released and signed and notarized by the Mac Admins open source community. So that's awesome to hear. Good job on that milestone there from them. There was a change in how Mac model identifiers are now prefixed. So every Mac, it will just be Mac instead of Power Mac, I guess. Wait, Power Mac? Where's Power Mac from? It's an old one. But
yes, as opposed to like MacBook or MacBook Pro.
Yep. So I will
It was
put that
just
link
Mac.
and load it on my other screen just so I can take a look at it. Yes, but it seems that they have changed all Macs have new identifiers. So previously MacBook Pro, Mac Mini, MacBook Air, Mac Studio. Now it's just Mac.
Yeah, I believe the
That's not gonna-
MacBook M2 is the 14,7, Mac 14,7.
That's
Yeah,
not going to confuse anything at all, guys.
Yep. Nope.
Woof. Okay. Fleet introduced a new GitOps-driven MDM product. So this is kind of neat. If you go to, what's the website there? fleetdm.com, you'll be able to see some information about that. But yeah, kind of neat.
Yeah, it looks like kind of what I know some organizations do this. We do this where we have like repos of things like scripts and EAs and configuration profiles, and this is just basically automating it, like giving you guys a package, part of the package deal, as opposed to rolling your own.
Yep.
At least that's what it looked like to me.
I have not checked this out yet, but it looks neat because it actually has like a query in it too, and it just get off work. I'll have to check this out because it looks kind of interesting. Next, come on, there we go. 6colors published their survey, their Apple in the Enterprise Survey report card. If you haven't seen it yet, it's a good read. It's long. It's it's a little dense and long, but it's really good overall. I think the numbers, most numbers increased, except for I believe software reliability and innovation and deployment have decreased this year. I believe everything else increased. Hardware reliability stayed the same. The biggest increase was macOS identity management. My guess is that's because of the platform SSO and the enterprise service and support. Outlook is switching to weekly releases. This is a pretty interesting change that they wanted to do. So only Outlook, nothing else. Switching to weekly cadence release. So every Tuesday they will now release a small fix or a small update for this. I haven't really had much of an issue with this because my org, we do a 5-day deferral if needed. And I actually even put this out to my users if like, hey, do you want weekly or monthly updates? Do you want to stick on a monthly cadence? And a lot of them were actually very happy to see the weekly cadence because they're like, oh, good, it fixes bugs really quick. I'd be interested to know how anybody on this is feeling it.
Yeah, my understanding is that most of the weekly updates are going to be feature driven. And I think the impetus behind that is because there's still such a large gap between parity gap between Windows and Mac versions of Outlook. And I think this weekly release cadence is now supposed to help close that gap, but we'll see.
I mean, there's still a big. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we stuck with the monthly, and it was a bit of a scramble to get everything done. I think we didn't get everybody on the deferred channel until like 2 weeks after they made the switch.
I mean, just speaking on the feature disparity between the Mac and Windows, even the old Outlook versus the new Outlook is pretty, limited. There's a lot of limitations there in terms of what they have feature pairs. So, but I am glad to see it though. Honestly, I don't know if anybody else in the calls.
Yeah, I was going to say we're almost like 2 years into the new UI, and it's
still missing contact lists, still missing local folders, still missing import and export. Yeah.
Well, yes. Jeremy points out, Outlook for Mac has never been had the Windows. So
looking at you voting. Anybody else here? Seen any advantages or disadvantages or switch over to monthly versus weekly? Quiet room. All right. Well, let's skip on to the next one. This is something I added to this list. The Red Canary released their Mac Monitor. It's basically an analysis tool for Mac OS that allows you to see. It's kind of like sysinternals or Procmon for Windows, which is kind of neat, and it's free. It allows you to get detailed event data and process subtrees and all this other stuff for security analysis or anything that this interests you. I downloaded it. It's pretty much what it says in the tin. So if you're looking at for a tool for system analysis on Macs, check it out. Might be worth using.
Sounds like a good presentation topic.
Yeah, honestly, I could probably reach out to Brandon Dalton, who's the one that published this blog, and see if he would want to chat about it. That would be something I think really cool. So yeah. I'll add that onto the list, actually.
It'd be really cool if it was open source, considering it's hosted on GitHub.
Well, it is Red Canary, so they have to get something in there, right? Well, it says it's an open beta, so I don't know if that means that they're going to close it eventually.
Oh, but the source code itself is not available on GitHub. They're just using it for publishing the binaries.
Right. What I'm wondering though is if they're going to open source this beta, right? Or not open source, but they're going to release the beta for free, like we're seeing now, and then when the quote beta is over, close it out and put it behind a paywall. Not sure.
There are a couple of GitHub issues that they closed where they said they don't plan on open sourcing the tool.
That's a shame. I mean, this reminds me a little bit of a Jamf compliance editor. So, compliance editors, Jamf's tool for Mac OS security compliance project. It's free. It works with anything, but it's not open source. Also, even though they were originally going to try to do things. So, but yeah, maybe I'll like I said, maybe I'll reach out to Brandon and see if he can give us a little bit of a talk on it. It'll be old news by the time he gets there, but we'll see. And the last thing was this this interesting post about iOS about their what's it called? Lockdown mode successfully defending against a 0-day exploit. Check it out. I mean, I didn't read too much into this, but it basically looks like that lockdown mode actually did what it was supposed to do. So very cool. Right. Next big one, conferences. Objective by the C 5.0. The slides and videos are now online. So if you were not able to go to Spain last year to watch that, there you go. Mac DevOps YVR registration is open. That will close on, we'll look. I am not stalling for time. I am just trying to remember.
Vancouver, right?
Vancouver,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Vancouver, yep. Doesn't say when it closes, unfortunately, but that is June 21st through 22nd. So it's quickly approaching.
If I may suggest on Vancouver, there's been some commentary on the Cascadia channel that you want to look hard at your hotel costs as you consider registration for that conference, because Vancouver hotels this summer are out of this world in terms of cost.
Wow. That's a pro tip. It looks like, by the way, their tickets close on the 22nd. So basically the day of the conference. So you can buy tickets up to the conference. All right. PSU Mac admins, woo! 2023 registration has opened. You know, we have a couple Mac folks that will be speaking there, or Philly folks that'll be speaking there, and we have a bunch of Philly folks that'll be going. So if you're watching this video later, maybe we'll see you there. Oh, and if you're going to PSU, register for my workshop with the macOS Security Compliance Project with Alan Goldbig and Dan Brojeski. Japanese User Conference, that is in September, coming up in Austin. So September 19th through 21st. That you can do virtual, in person, and keynote only if you want. If you're still going to JNUC, it's a good time to do it. I don't think call for proposals it ended.
No, end of the month.
End of the month.
End of April. So I think you're like,
Thank you. Yeah, there it is. It's open. It's now open through April 28th. So if you want to call for sessions, so if you're interested in doing that.
Yeah.
And Mike pointed out, by the way, that Mac DevOps YVR is 25% full so far. So that's hopefully more people. Mac Sysadmin, that is in October. That is Gothenburg, Sweden, October 3rd through 6th. So if you want to go to Sweden, it is in English. I believe all the talks are in English. So I've unfortunately never had the chance to go there. I don't know if anybody here has. That can speak, of course, but I've heard it's a great conference. So, and the last one on the list is Objective by the Sea 6.0, which is this year in Marbella, Spain again. Different place in Spain, but in Spain. So that is the October 9th through 11th is for training. October 12th through 13th is for the talk. So 9th through 13th if you do both. This is the one and only Mac Security Conference. So you're security minded, try to go. I'm hoping to go. And now everybody's favorite part, the open discussion. So I'm actually going to stop my share, go back to video. And before we go into the open discussion, anybody have anything that they wanted to ask a question about that can be recorded, or about the slides, or any comments on the slides that they want recorded? Guess not. So I guess we're going to stop recording and we'll do the open discussion. So